Welcome into the Week 15 recap. One more game to go for Week 15, and then hopefully moving on to the next stage of your fantasy playoffs, or maybe you're just listening to this and you're already out. But it's interesting times in the NFL. We have each week now we're gonna get teams clinching, teams eliminated. I think there's 4 teams: Niners, Eagles, Cowboys, Ravens. They all clinched their playoff spot, even though the Cowboys got spanked. And then I think there's 2 or 3 teams eliminated. Lions can clinch tonight if the Seahawks lose, I believe. So, Dad, you excited about that? You rooting for the Eagles?
Damn right I am.
No matter what.
No, I'm rooting for the Eagles. It just looked really good, and I know the season's not done, but it looks nice to when you look at your team and you see double-digit wins, 10 wins, and you go, man, that's I haven't seen that in a while. So,
yeah, yep, and they I mean, win the division for the first time, ever for the NFC North. So that would be cool to see for sure. But we'll get to them in just a couple games here. We're gonna start going over just some stuff again. A lot of stuff you already know by now, but if there's anything interesting beyond the box score stuff, box score stuff that we need to talk about, we will. But it's going to be fairly quick through these matchups. The first one was the first Saturday game, a good game, went to overtime. Vikings should have won. They blew a 17-3 lead in the fourth quarter. It was the Bengals-Vikings. Bengals win. Bengals are currently in the playoff hunt. So we'll start with the Vikings. I thought Nick Mullins looked okay. He threw some bad interceptions, but he looked okay in terms of passing the ball. 26 for 33, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. One horrible. He basically handed it to the defensive lineman when he was on the ground. It's like, what are you doing? Ty Chandler was awesome. He had over 130 yards on the ground, 25 yards through the air, had a touchdown. Dad, do you think even when Madison comes back that Chandler did enough to kind of prove this is his job?
Oh, absolutely. He looked really good, and I was like, wow, I was watching the game and it's like, looks like a very quick, speedy back, getting through the hole really quick. So, hey, you got 23 carries. It's like, hello, Vikings. It's like establish some kind of a running game, and he looked good.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think Madison, he had a high ankle sprain, so I think the 2 most common games missed for a high ankle sprain are either 0 or 3 in a weird way. It's either you miss 0 games or you're more likely to miss 3 games. So we'll see when Madison comes back. But yeah, Chandler, first 100-yard rusher this year for the Vikings. We just don't know what it's going to look like when he comes back. Obviously, he's a must start as long as Madison's out. Addison had a big game, 6 for 111, 2 touchdowns. This could be a case of backup quarterback. Addison was the a second stringer coming into the year. KJ Osborne was starting ahead of him, so maybe Addison Mullins have a connection. Mullins was the backup during the offseason, the preseason and training camp. So maybe there's some kind of connection here. Jefferson 7 for 84, Hawkinson 6 for 83. Are all those guys kind of must starts, you think, Dad? Addison, Jefferson, Hawkinson?
Yeah, I would say so. They got numbers. I know Addison had the 2 touchdowns, and Jefferson got the most targets. Hawkinson's gonna get targets. I'd say, yeah, all 3 of those guys and stuff like that. So play them.
Yeah. For sure. For sure, Hawkinson, Jefferson. Hawkinson might not be as good as he was with Dobbs, where he's getting 12 targets a game, but he's still going to be valuable. Bengals side, Browning. If you have Browning, where do you rank him in the group of like Flacco, Carr, Gardner Minshew, Jake Browning? Do you put Browning at the top of that list? He's had, I think, 3 straight games of 20 or more points, 3 straight games. So
yeah, he's doing it. I've been leaning on Browning for a couple of my teams. Well, one team in general, and and he's been doing it. And Saturday, about halftime, I looked at the points, the fantasy points, and he had like 2 or 3 or something, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna really lose my ass this week. But then he woke up there in the second half, and even without Jamar Chase. So they spread the ball around and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd say hell yeah on Jake Browning.
Yeah, I was a little nervous because Vikings had actually been really good against quarterbacks for like 7-8 weeks now, and Browning lit him up. So Joe Mixon still had a good game because he got a touchdown, didn't have a lot of yards, but they were trailing in this game and only had 10 carries. So Jamar Chase, like you said, 4 for 64, left the game. I think he separated his shoulder, so we have to see if he plays or not. T. Higgins had 2 touchdowns. If both of them are there, are you still comfortable starting Chase and Higgins, or do you want to shy away from Higgins?
Well, you think, I don't know. I don't – there should be enough there to support those 2 wide receivers. I'm talking about targets and things like that. Man, T. Higgins, there's some games, the guy looks really, really good. And there's other games, and I'm not saying it's him. It's not like he's playing bad. They got to throw the ball to him. The offense has got to throw the ball, and he's going to make himself a lot of money because he's a free agent after this year. So,
yep.
It'll be interesting to see him if he goes to another team and then he's, the number 1 wide receiver. Is he can he be able to do that, and stuff like that? But he sure had a heck of a game there on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And Chase Brown, interesting name for next year. So probably not going to happen this year. Not going to get enough touches, but he looks good when he touches the ball. So keep that in mind if they do move on from Mixon next year. So yeah, we'll nothing outside the box score there that we need to look at. So we'll move on to the Steelers, Colts. Steelers, I think, have lost 3-4 in a row now. Is there anyone to trust on this team? Like,
hell no.
No one, right?
It's offensively, it's terrible. And I think, I'm trying to remember the first drive of the game, the Steelers, didn't they look, like the next coming of Vince Lombardi's Green Bay Packers or something? And then it all just blew up, and, and they all suck. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was their second drive. First drive was a 3-and-out. Second drive was a 12-play, 54-yard touchdown. So it was their second drive, and it was bad. Like it's been bad all year with offensively. I mean, Deontay Johnson's the only one that I'm going to think about starting on this team. He had 4 for 62 and a touchdown, but the running backs, it's just not happening. I mean, Najee Harris has had 4 of the last 5 games have been bad. Jaylen Warren is Jaylen Warren. Like, he's not getting enough touches. So he did have 5 catches, but it's just tough to rely on anyone on this team. So avoid him if you can, except for maybe Deontay. Colts side of things, Minshew threw 3 touchdowns. So if you did start him, because it's been tough for quarterbacks, a lot of people are starting him. He might be a solid play all year long. He's had games where he's exploded this year. Now he can give you some dud games, but 4 straight games of at least 15 points. Last week, or Saturday, he had 21 points. So good there. Got any interest in Trey Sermon or Tyler Goodson? Both of them took over from when Zach Moss got hurt early on. Trey Sermon had 17 carries. Goodson had 11. Any interest there?
Yeah. Let me just go back and this coach, the coach of Indianapolis, who was offensive coordinator for Philadelphia last year. Mm-hmm. What's his name? Shane Steichen is his name. So with Philadelphia, they had a very good running game. Remember Miles Sanders and Gainwell, and and Boston Scott and stuff and Hurts. And there's some coaches, like Shanahan, McVay. I know I'm missing. They have good running games. This is one of these guys, this coach. So whoever is plugged into running back, as long as they get the ball enough, and Trey Sermon was one of those guys.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate, Zach Moss has kind of done pretty well, but it's like, yeah, if you need a running back, going into your championship week or something like that, you better check Zach Moss's health. And, if Trey Sermon's available, by the way, he was a relatively high draft pick, like number 2 for the 49ers. And he just couldn't make it. And he looked friggin' all pro on Saturday though, didn't he?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, 17 for 88 is good. I think he he didn't catch a pass, but and then the other guy was Tyler Gibson. So it was a little bit more of a split backfield. We've seen them kind of feature one guy, but after Moss got hurt, I think it was some kind of arm or hand injury. Those two guys split. So I definitely think about picking up potentially both of them, but I also think Jonathan Taylor could be back too. So it could be all for nothing, but you got to at least take a shot if you have a space on these guys. Michael Pittman left the game as well. Luckily, he did give you 4 for 78 before he did. Hopefully he's back. He had a concussion, I believe, so could miss this week. That would kind of suck. He's been a top 12 receiver for you. So, I mean, I don't really have any interest in any other player receiving-wise. If Pittman's out, I mean, maybe Josh Downs you can take a stab at, but he only had 3 targets, even with Pittman missing more than half the game. So, it's keep an eye on the health of Zach Moss, Jonathan Taylor, but you're probably not going to know by tomorrow or Wednesday morning. So just pick up Sermon. I'd go Sermon and then Goodson, but I think both of them should be rostered.
Definitely.
Yeah. We'll move on into the your team, the Lions, or Broncos versus Lions. Lions dominate. We'll start with the Broncos. I mean, not much is to be said here. Russell Wilson's Russell Wilson. He's going to throw for around 200-ish yards. Hopefully he gets 2 touchdowns. This game he only had, he had 2, 1 rushing. So he had a good game fantasy-wise. Are you just kind of out on Javonte Williams? Like he's getting the usage, but he's just not doing anything. Like this is the time of year where we expected him to kind of be back to normal. He saw the field more than usual, but it just didn't translate into anything. So are you basically just moving on from Javonte if you've made it this far?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you made it this far with him, you got to probably continue with him, but, you definitely need to rethink it for next year and stuff like that. So, it's kind of funny that Sean Payton really got in Russell Wilson's ass. Yeah. I don't know what he was doing wrong or anything like that, other than he got sacked a couple times, but that's not entirely him. But
only thing I can think of is it was a play, I think it was to Javonte, where they probably could have challenged to see if he actually crossed the goal line, and maybe Russell Wilson went and snapped it too quickly. And then obviously you can't challenge after that. That's the only thing I can think of, because I was a little confused too, but he was really getting at him. It's tough.
There was kind of a weird offside call. I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening to the game, unfortunately. It was around a group of people that were pretty loud, but it sounded, and I just thought that looks kind of funny, if they're calling offsides on Denver. I don't know. Did you see it?
It was like the center. I think they called it on the center, his head too far over the ball or something. Like,
Jesus.
But if you go back and look at it, it doesn't look like an offensive offsides at all. So
here's this.
Tough.
This is related to this Kansas City bullshit, man. God.
Well, I mentioned it to you. I think I heard before the Chiefs Kadarius Toney offensive offsides. I think there was 12 offensive offsides called all year. I feel like I've heard about 5 of them this week. So I don't know if they're overcompensating. Like, yeah, we do call it. It's just kind of weird, especially the one on the center. So, but yeah, Javonte, it's going to be tough to start him. I mean, Lions are a tough matchup, but he also gets the Patriots next week, which is another tough matchup for running back. So I'd bench him if I can. Cortland Sutton didn't catch a touchdown, but still had 5 for 71. You're starting him and no one else. So we'll move on to the Lions. Lions are easy. They looked awesome. Something to note here, this was only I think I heard 5th time this year where their entire offensive line was healthy and playing. And Goff looked super comfortable. They got their center back, who's really one of the top 5-ish centers in the league.
Frank Ragnow, yep.
Yeah, so Goff looked awesome. You can be back to not really worried about him. I think they play indoors the rest of the year as well. So, it's always better to play indoors for anyone, not just Goff. I think it's unfair to say, Goff's bad indoors. I think if you look at anyone's stats, they're probably better indoors than outdoors. Gibbs is awesome. Montgomery, he didn't get the touchdown because Goff threw 5, but he still got 17 carries, couple catches. He didn't get the touchdown. More often than not, he's going to get the touchdown. So Amon-Ra St. Brown's awesome. Laporta is awesome with 3 touchdowns. All those guys are must starts. I don't know if there's anything you want to say, Dad, on the Lions.
No, that's they spread the ball around. What I liked is just about. They have a lot of receivers and stuff like that, and St. Brown and Laporta are the main guys, but there's Jamison Williams, there's Josh Reynolds, there's Khalif Raymond, Donovan Peoples-Jones. So they're spreading the ball around. They looked things where the gears were meshing very well Saturday night in Detroit. So
yeah, against a team that had been playing well and was really good defensively since their 70-point blowout, So it was a good win for sure. Laporta's on pace for 920 yards receiving. He's on pace for 86 catches, and he's on pace for 11 touchdowns. So he's having an awesome.
That's unbelievable for a rookie tight end, to tell you the truth, but
maybe the best season ever. I know everyone talks about Mike Ditka, but we're talking about 1961 or something.
Yeah, no kidding, a long time ago.
Yeah, so I think this might be at least in Super Bowl era. Is 61 Super Bowl era? No, I don't think it is.
66, 67.
Yeah,
in there.
Yeah, Super Bowl era. It's Laporta. Pitts had 1,000 yards, but 1 touchdown. So yeah, he's awesome. He's right up there. Maybe tight end 1, 2 next year. Up there with another guy we'll talk about in a bit. So we'll move on. Lions are good. They have some good matchups coming up as well with the Vikings twice in the next 3 weeks. Vikings Cowboys are who they play over the next fantasy relevant weeks. So Jets, Dolphins is our next one. Dolphins just kind of take care of business here. We had some ugly stat lines with rushing. Breece Hall, if you're keeping track now, I think it's the last 10 games has 250 yards rushing or something ridiculous. It's so bad.
Disgusting, man. Sad.
6 for 12 and did nothing in the. He's been producing in the passing game. He's basically been like a wide receiver 3 in the passing game and getting some rushing work, but he did nothing. I don't know if that's because Zach Wilson left. He left with a concussion. I don't know what to say. If Zach Wilson's not there, I don't want to start. It's as weird as it sounds. I don't want to start anyone. If Zach Wilson's there, I'll start Garrett Wilson and maybe Breece Hall. But if you made it this far with those guys, again, I don't know how many people made it this far, but anything to say? I think they had 3 yards at halftime.
Straight trash for the Jets, man. It's just some teams you can tell they're just cashing it in already. They're just like, the Jets got nothing to play for, so
it's bad. Zach Wilson's not going to be on the team. Aaron Rodgers maybe next year, but he's gonna be 41 years old. I don't know. Dolphins are the Dolphins. Tua didn't have a great game, but Raheem Mostert has, I think, as many or more touchdowns as like 5 teams this year. It's like Patriots, Jets, the bad teams, Panthers. He has 20 touchdowns this year. It's insane. I think he has more than he had 19 coming into this year. So it's insane. Still gonna start him. Are you worried about Achane a little? Any worry there where he had another injury, which maybe limited his snaps and stuff, but Achane he played 24 snaps, but only 9 carries, 3 catches. Is just what you expect from him. 12 touches, and he can take one to the house.
Yeah, I think you got to roll with those numbers that you're seeing, especially with Mostert in the backfield and stuff like that. And, the Dolphins are obviously thinking about the playoffs and stuff like that. So they don't, they don't want to kill their guys, run them into the ground and stuff. But
especially in a game where they're blowing them out and stuff like that. Yeah, Mostert's almost at 1,000 yards already. Pretty insane stuff. Is he the fantasy MVP in terms of you potentially got him in double-digit rounds? Is he fantasy MVP?
Well, I don't know if you consider the Rams running back. He was the Rams running back is. He's the waiver wire baby or whatever you want to call him or something. But, I'd say Mostert where you would have drafted him, if he drafted him, he should have been drafted, later rounds and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely. But you always knew the potential was there. How could you not? If you watch the guy play, it's just a matter of A, staying healthy, B, getting the ball,
Yep. It's just a little crazy. A 31-year-old's doing this, but he has been awesome, but he didn't have a lot of mileage coming in, so that's a big thing to consider. But RB2 on the year, pretty awesome. So we'll move on to the Texans at the Titans. The slap in the face wearing the Houston Oilers against, I don't know, I thought that was kind of funny, but Texans pull it out in overtime. Devin Singletary, I guess, is back to him. They just keep messing with us. Not a lot of people started Singletary because they weren't giving him the ball, and then they decided to give him 26 for 121 and then 4 catches for almost 50 yards. So I don't know how many people actually started him. I know you did it in our redraft league, which it would have potentially put you in the playoffs if you did, but I don't know how you could have made that decision because he didn't do anything, So he's a must start from now on. Noah Brown, as long as Nico Collins is out, for sure. And even when Nico Collins comes back, I still think Noah Brown's a start with Stroud there. 8 for 82 and a touchdown. Dalton Schultz did tight end things, 4 for 58. I don't know, not much to talk about here except Singletary. It's back to him, right? He's a must start.
Yeah. Did Nico Collins? No,
you missed the game.
No, so with Nico Collins and I think they're missing. Noah Brown's okay. In the passing game. Mm-hmm. Singletary definitely. I don't know. I had him and I didn't because it looked like they had moved on from him and or they weren't giving. But just.
It's just
take it for what it is right now. Damian Pierce, one frigging carry. It's like, okay.
He's the perfect example of in terms of dynasty, which is if you get any running back like this, 4th, 5th round, you probably, of course, some pan out. Aaron Jones is a 5th rounder. There's Eckler undrafted, but it probably you're probably better off selling them at their highest, rather than keeping them. But Titans thing, Will Levis, I escaped. It looked like it was a bad injury. They said they weren't going to show it on TV, but I guess it's just an ankle sprain. So Man, talk about bad stat lines. Derrick Henry, 19 touches. 20 touches and 10 yards. That's insane. That's insane. Are you worried about that? Like, if you again somehow survive starting Henry, who's been really good this year, I think he's second in the league in rushing. And are you benching Henry next week? Like, are you going that far?
No, probably not. I don't think, because he's going to get the volume. It's just, I don't know, man. These guys, these teams, those offensive lines and stuff, and I don't know. Boy. If I have Derrick Henry, I am starting him, and it could be a bad call, but that's terrible.
It's bad. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he's RB8 on the year. Coming into this, he had 20 points, 24 and a half, 17 and a half. So it's like, how do you bench that? There's no way you can bench that. So, but yeah, pretty bad stuff. Hopkins was disappointing, 2 for 21. I don't want to start Hopkins if Levis is there. I'll still think about it. But if it's Tannehill, I don't want to start Hopkins because I don't think he's going to target him as much. So a lot of us up in the air here with not knowing if Levis is the starter or not. So we'll just kind of move on from that one and get into the Bucs Packers, the Battle of the Bays. Baker Mayfield is on pace for over 4,000 yards, almost 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He's been awesome. Again, you could probably still roll with him. If you're streaming quarterbacks and stuff like that, they have, they get the Jags next week, which is a good matchup. Saints after that, which isn't terrible. So impressed with Baker Mayfield. Do you think he's on the Bucs next year? He's the Bucs starting quarterback.
Yeah, he should. I don't know why. He had a very good game yesterday and stuff like that. And, I heard some highlight show, I think on NFL Network. Well, that's why he was the Heisman Trophy winner. And I'm like, come on, really? I like Baker Mayfield. I like his attitude, but you're going to get some crap games out of him where, he's a little bit of a turnover machine sometimes. He did get sacked 5 times. They're not always related to the offensive line, but is he going to be in the Bucs? Yeah, but you got to understand, and I'm sure the team figures it out, you pretty much you're at the high water mark with Baker Mayfield. So can he take you to, the playoffs and stuff like that? Hey, he took the Browns to the playoffs, so
and they almost beat the Chiefs in that. I don't know. I forget if it was divisional or I think it was a divisional game.
Yes, they beat the Steelers. They beat the Steelers first, and then they had a very close game. So yeah, but you got to have the team around him. Now, if you're going to get rid of Mike Evans, which possibly Tampa Bay might do, that's not good for Baker.
Yeah. No, he's definitely earned. If you have him in Dynasty, I think you're pretty happy because he's definitely earned a starting job somewhere. And yeah, you have to have like a really good team around him. But Buccaneers aren't going to be they could potentially win their division. They're leading it, make the playoffs. They're not going to be in position to draft a quarterback, at least a high drafted guy, maybe in the late first or early or second round or something. So, but yeah, he's been good this year for sure. It seems like he plays better when he's tucked away in Tampa Bay, a little bit out of the spotlight, kind of has some swag going. So Rashad White is still awesome. Dude's insane. 140 total yards and a touchdown. The dude's he's the second best running back this year. Well, he's RB4 this year, but since week 6, he's only behind McCaffrey, which is crazy. So obviously starting Mikey Evans, 457 to touchdown, you're starting him. Chris Godwin, you probably have a lot of Godwin managers angry because they probably didn't make the playoffs. And he went 10 for 155 out of nowhere. I don't know. Yeah.
Makes me cough.
Are you starting him next week if you're in the playoffs and you made it? Are you just gonna roll it back
I
out?
guess. I don't know. Just evaluate your wide receivers. Is he going to have? He's not going to have 10 for 155 next week. So let's just say that.
Yeah.
If he does, I'll shave my head or something.
But I mean, the week before he did get 11 targets. This week 12. So the targets were there the last couple of weeks. He just connected on all of them. So yeah, a little frustrating though if you probably didn't make the playoffs and you see that. Packers, this is a young team and they've lost 2 in a row now. It's funny because they were like 2 weeks ago, it was like, man, can they catch the Lions in the division?
I know.
Now it's like, are they going to make the playoffs? 2 weeks later, it's like, wow. It's just the football season. It's short, 17 games, 18 weeks, but it changes so much. It's crazy. They are still, they dropped all the way to the 11th seed. So, young team. I think Love looked fine yesterday, 284 and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones came back, but it's just been a disaster season for him. And you never know what receiver to start. Dontavian Wicks was the guy this week. Tucker Crafts looked pretty good. You can probably stream him as a tight end. Jaden Reed, I like what I see. 6 for 52 and a touchdown. Romeo Doubs. I remember I not questioned you, but like, oh, you traded away Romeo Doubs in Dynasty, and I think it was the right move. Now it's just he's a fine player, but
I got lucky. So
I mean, I think he's a fine player, but he's like a wide receiver 3 at best. So I think you cashed out there. But yeah, it's I still start Love potentially as like a low end QB1 depending on my options. But other than that, like, are you okay with Aaron Jones next week if he's back fully healthy?
Well, he's probably going to get, he's probably going to get the touches and stuff like that. So, what happened to Dylan?
I think he broke
is he hurt
or something? He broke a thumb. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So So to answer your question, based upon what you said, I'd start him. And you just gotta roll with what you get. Hopefully it's a touchdown or you get some catches out of the backfield and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, he could be one of those. Like, if you somehow, again, you made it all the way to week 16 in fantasy, even though you drafted Aaron Jones in the top 4 rounds or so, you obviously have a good team, and he could come back and just like put a cherry on top. So I'd starting him. He had 50% of the snaps first game back, so that's good to see. But yeah, they're an interesting team. Again, they're all very, very young. It's like first or second year players all over the place, defense, offense. So. Just
they seem to be a little better with Christian Watson there. So
for sure.
Offensively. So
yeah, so hopefully he comes back. Giants Saints is the next game. Not a whole lot to talk about here. The DeVito maybe story. We get these all the time. Linsanity stories where it kind of starts to fade out a little bit.
That's a great example. Linsanity, yeah.
Both in New York.
Somebody's going to watch this video, this podcast, and go, what?
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That it's that long ago. But I don't know. It's still only really Barkley on this team, and he had a terrible game, which sucks. Again, a lot of studs this week that you expect to put up points for you had bad games. Still going to start him next week if I made it that far. Darren Waller, are you interested? I mean, 4 for 40 on kind of limited snaps. Are you interested if he's if they're going to increase the snap share a little bit to start him next week?
I think so. Why not?
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't hurt. They threw the ball to him. He got 6 targets. So, let's hopefully, I don't know who their matchup is next week or anything else, but
I think it's Philly. Yeah, Philly, which is good for passing. Philly's, you can pass on them. So yeah, I mean, he had 6 targets and 42% of the snaps. You do the math. If he plays 80%, That's 12 targets, right? I know it doesn't work that way necessarily, but I don't mind starting him. That's about it. It's Barkley and maybe Waller. So Saints side of things, Carr looked good, 23 for 28, 3 touchdowns. Taysom Hill was a bust. Kamara was good, over 120 yards, 5 catches. You're starting Kamara. If Olave misses more time, what did he miss with? It wasn't a concussion. It was something else.
Shoulder concussion? Hell, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I have to double check that. If he's out, do you want to start any other Rashid Shaheed or?
Yeah,
all these guys did nothing.
I don't know. There's only one guy. We can look at this matchup, Giants and Saints. All we can say is Saquon Barkley and Alvin Kamara. I mean, that's what.
That's it.
And maybe Derek Carr if you're desperate.
Yeah, and Waller if he comes back to full health. So, and then Olave, if Olave comes back, obviously Olave, but it was an ankle for Olave, so we'll monitor that. But other than that, I want to stay away. I think it's going to be Carr. It's just going to be spread around. Kamara's going to get his. Juwan Johnson, Rashid Shaheed. So just kind of avoid it if possible. Not much to talk about there. Falcons, Panthers in the next game. Another matchup where a stud lost to your matchup in Bijan Robinson. Wow. That's so disappointing. The dude was kind of on fire, I think, but his 7 carries for 11 yards. I've heard rumors about something about keeping him fresh, getting tired. I'm kind of like, it's not like he's been used a whole lot. He has over 200 touches, but it's not like he's at 300 or something. I don't know. That's super disappointing. A lot of people lost their weeks.
That's and I'm one of them. So that's probably what did my my redraft team in. Bijan having
points,
a point or two. What was it?
In Fantasy Pros half PPR, it's minus 0.1 because he had a fumble.
I think he had 0.6 or something. I don't know.
In our league, yeah.
It was like, thank you. Can I have another?
It's so bad. I mean, yeah.
Keeping them fresh for what? Don't you?
I don't know.
That's stupid. If that's the truth, it's like, aren't you trying to get into the playoffs? All hands on deck type thing.
Yeah. You talked about it with McVay and Shanahan and Mike McDaniel. Imagine if they had these weapons and Bijan and Kyle Pitts and Drake London. Holy crap. Yeah. Just I'm probably still going to start Bijan if I made it somehow, but I just want to move on. Luckily they lost, and hopefully that means maybe Arthur Smith moves on. So Carolina got their second win of the year. I think that makes the draft a little bit interesting. They're only 1 game up on New England and Arizona, but I think they would have the tiebreaker. So still kind of Bears are looking good there. But out of this whole game, it's really Chuba Hubbard is the only one that really did anything, and he only had 100 total yards. So I think he's a must start. He's been getting 20 touches in 3 straight games. So anything on these guys, we just move it on. It's just disaster everywhere type of thing.
Trash.
Yeah. And the worst thing about the Bijan thing, not to go back to that, but Carolina was this was the remedy. If you're struggling as a running back, Carolina was the remedy to your struggles matchup. They were so good for running backs and nothing. It's bad. You can't even, as a running back, you get 7 carries, you're the man. You don't even get established in 7 carries, Yeah. Shit. I know. And nothing in the passing game, I think. 1 catch. So
yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Smith was the freaking leading receiver on this team again. So moving on.
Sure. Reception, yeah.
Yeah. The Bears-Browns is the next one here. Bears, did you see that Hail Mary fell into Darnell Mooney's gut when he was on the ground? And yeah, people are giving him crap for that. I feel like it was one of those, like, he didn't expect it to fall into his lap type of thing, and probably overreacted. Like when you overreact when you're driving, it's probably more dangerous. It's kind of like, holy crap, the ball's there, and he probably shot up and it hit the ball in the air or something. Like, I kind of sympathize.
Wasn't he laying? He was laying on the ground, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was batted down.
Right. So I mean, I don't know. It was like, wow. I mean, that's okay, Bears. You don't want to screw up your draft position.
Well, they have the Panthers, so it's kind of nice. But yeah, the still shot looks terrible. The ball's in his lap, and it's like, how do you not catch that? But again, he's on the ground. The ball gets batted into him. He had no expectations for it to be there, and just kind of, I think, overreacted. So Fields, kind of a down game. 2 interceptions. Obviously, one of them was on that Hail Mary. I don't know. Is he the answer? Like, are you convinced they're going to stick with – what would you do? You have the number 1 pick, Caleb Williams or Drake May sitting there. You have Justin Fields. Do you trade the number 1 pick, get a haul for it, and build around Fields, or do you take one of these rookies?
I think if you take a rookie, you're moving backwards, So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm not sure. You see it in Justin Fields once in a while, and I don't know, man. That's a tough call. So I don't think. I think the Bears. I feel sorry for the Bears coaching staff and general manager. They're going to make a choice, and whatever it is, something's not going to turn out right. I bet. I don't know. So it's like,
yeah.
But
I think they
offensive line, man. Draft some offensive, some in the trenches is what I say. Look at the Lions. Lions offensive line. So
or if you move back to just even like number 3 and you take Marvin Harrison Jr. and you have Marvin Harrison, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Justin Fields, like, that's a pretty good core there. But I think they take a quarterback, because I think the biggest thing is, like, what are we on this is year 3 of Justin Fields?
This is third year, yeah.
So you'd be going into year 4. You're going to have to potentially pay him if he does well. So you can kind of reset it and be like, all right, we got a rookie contract for 5 years. I don't know.
They kind of pissed away his rookie year. Remember Matt Nagy and stuff like that. And then half of last year, they kind of were trying to do stupid things with them. And then they figured it out, to change the offense or something like that. So I don't know how many more chances the guy needs or something, but
yeah,
I don't know. My God, I tell you, when he plays the Lions, I'm like crapping my pants, because I said, this guy is hard to tackle. He's got a very good arm, and but the passing part of his game is not at a very high level yet.
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't know how it gets better or anything else, coaching or whatever. So I don't know. Everybody wants it right now. So, but anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is he hasn't taken that next step as a passer. So still probably starting him for the most part, because his upside is huge in fantasy. The running backs are just a mess once again. Roschon had the most snaps. No one did anything really. I mean, Roschon had a fine game. He had 60 yards with 4 catches, but no, it's a 3-headed monster. Avoid them all. Khalil Herbert, Foreman, Roschon, I'd avoid them all. DJ Moore, I'm still starting. Kmet, if he's my tight end, I'm starting. So we can kind of move on from there and move on to the Browns, who just keep winning. They're 9-5 somehow, with like 5 different quarterbacks. Flacco, I think, heading into this game, they had the most passes since Flacco had taken over in the entire NFL, And again, they throw it 44 times. Flacco, 375. He had 3 interceptions, but 375 yards, 2 touchdowns. So Cooper's a start, and Njoku's a smash play. I think since he started to get going in like week 5 or 6, he's on a 1,000-yard pace. So he's been awesome. So both those guys are starting. Are you worried about the running backs, Ford and Hunt, who did nothing? None of them had more than 8 carries.
I'd still start Ford, I think, I mean, but Flacco for MVP, man.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I think I agree with you with Ford, unless coming into this, he was just basically getting you 10 to 12 points in half PPR, 10 to 12 points every week. So if you need a safe 10 to 12 points, I'd probably roll with him. If you need some upside, I'd maybe roll with someone else. But yeah, Flacco. Do they make the playoffs, you think? They're a game up on the – they're the 5th seed right now. They're 9-5, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 teams that are 8-6. But again, they're ahead of all those teams right now. So you think they
got a playoff ready defense, that's for sure. So
yeah, I could play if they can get any type of run game. Like,
how about the Jets for not signing Flacco earlier and going with Zach Wilson?
He was there last year.
Why not? I know, but why not Carson Wentz or something?
I know, yeah.
That's better than Zach Wilson, but anyway.
Or Josh Dobbs Yeah. A lot of these guys for sure. We'll move right along. Chiefs and Patriots, another pretty easy one here. Chiefs pull out the win. Not the prettiest one, but they won. Probably still starting Mahomes, but he's definitely been a huge disappointment. 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Still going to start him. If Pacheco's out again, Dad, any interest in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who had a big game, but a lot of it did come on like 2. It was a big catch for 48 yards and a touchdown catch. But he led that backfield, 40 snaps to McKinnon's 22. Interesting.
Yeah, I would play him. I was thinking of that yesterday, going, CEH, why not? Let's roll with it.
Yeah. Rashee Rice, 9 for 91 and a touchdown. Where do you think he goes next year? Do you think he's in the top 20, top 24 receivers in the draft?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get a warm fuzzy on him. He's obviously the second half of the year. I mean, he is a rookie, so let's see how he looks the rest of the way into the playoffs and stuff like that, and we'll evaluate it from there. But I'm not putting him up to the elite level or anything like that. He's a jag, just another guy, so.
Yeah, a third of his points are coming on touchdowns this year, which I think you want that a little bit lower. I'm just worried. I think for Dynasty, I think I would try and sell him. At least if I'm competing right now, I would continue and just ride it out. But in the offseason, maybe try and sell him, because I think people are gonna think of him as like, oh yeah, he's the Chiefs' number 1 receiver. He's gonna finish probably as a top 20 receiver this year. But they're gonna get another weapon, almost guaranteed. So
they have to.
Yeah, they have to. Kelsey's looking old, and
they need to get rid of Kadarius Toney. That guy's a scrub.
What a terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Noah Gray? No, was it Noah Gray? I think it was Blake Bell who dropped another one with like a touchdown or something. Kelsey's kind of looking old, man. 5 for 28. He's been a bust in terms of
weak legs. Weak legs because of Taylor Swift.
Maybe. I mean,
Did you see the video? There was a play in the end zone, and Kelsey didn't catch the ball, and he starts throwing, and then the video of Taylor Swift, she got up, and you could hear or you could see her say like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay. Sit down, honey.
I mean, yeah, it is funny. That's kind of any fan, like every fan's going to be doing that kind of, like,
Yeah, any
where's the
Chiefs fan,
flag?
right?
Yeah, and if that happens to anyone on your team, you're doing that. So I don't know. It's he's definitely now the age is showing. I mean, he's tight end 3 on the year, but again, like you drafted him to be a difference maker, and he hasn't been. He hasn't been. So
He's the same age as Gronk, and look what Gronk's doing. He's retired, so you knew this was coming. I mean, you had to mentally think that this is coming. Last couple of years or something. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. He's still tight end 1 points per game. He just missed a game. He's still averaging more than Laporta and Hawkinson.
I want Laporta to overtake him.
Oh, yeah, it definitely has for next year, Dynasty, all that. So, yeah, he's looking old for sure. But he's also dealt with a lot of injuries. So, Patriots side of things, just to kind of quickly get through. I mean, I'm still going to start Zeke because the opportunity is going to be there. And Hunter Henry, if he's healthy, I think he left the game, but I'll still start Hunter Henry. But that's kind of it. I mean, just a bad team overall. So,
yeah,
we'll move on to the 49ers Cardinals here. 49er is Christian McCaffrey MVP, should be MVP, even though they give it to quarterbacks every year. Do you think he should?
Yeah, CMC, absolutely. He makes he makes Purdy's life easy. Yeah. Having a running game, that's what makes Jared Goff. I know I go back to the Lions. That's what makes Jared Goff good, is when his running game is good. Where and that's a lot of quarterbacks. There's a lot of them. They need a running game. They can't just drop back and throw the ball. They're going to get killed,
Yep. Yeah. He's awesome. I mean, he has 1,800 total yards this year in 14 games. So he's on pace for almost 2,200 total yards. He has 20 touchdowns. I think he should be MVP. But we'll see which way they go. Nothing to talk about the 49ers. You're starting all of them. Purdy, McCaffrey, Kittle had 2 for 54. It's going to happen. Debo had 2 touchdowns. Ayuk a down game, but we know he's capable of. So we don't want to spend too much time on the 49ers. They're the Super Bowl favorites, potential top 2 MVP candidates on their team. So I'm interested to see who can beat them. I thought maybe the Cowboys, but now just seeing what the Cowboys just did, I don't know.
Cowboys can't play on the road. Got an interesting matchup in a couple of weeks. We got Detroit going to Dallas, so in a couple of weeks. So that'll be see what happens there.
And we have 49ers Ravens this coming week, Monday Night Football.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting potential Super Bowl preview, which everyone will be talking about. Cardinals, tough matchup. I still like Kyler Murray for his his potential. He's actually been pretty good this year since coming back. 18, 22, 20, and then 12 and 15 the last 2 weeks. So tough matchup, but still like him if he's your quarterback for the potential there. They get the Bears. James Conner looked good. 14 for 86 and a touchdown. 3 catches. I think you can feel confident with him as an RB2. Trey McBride. I think it's going to come down to, honestly, Trey McBride or Sam Laporta as tight end 1 next year. It's going to be one of those 2 guys, in my opinion. Maybe Andrews, maybe Hawkinson. So, but, I mean, I know you're a little biased, Dad. You probably take Laporta, but what do you think of Trey McBride overall? The dude's been...
No, I've been keeping mental track of... we've been doing this every week, the whole year. And it's like, yeah, the guy's – he was a pretty high draft pick last year, wasn't he? Yeah. So
second rounder, considered maybe the best tight end
for a tight end. So he's obviously he's making it happen. So, unfortunately, he's not on a great team, but
yeah, I mean, he gets fed the ball. Since I think Zach Ertz got hurt in week 6 in that game, Trey McBride since then's on pace for almost 1,200 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, 1,200 yards, 109 catches, only 2 touchdowns, but yeah, the dude's pretty awesome. And that's kind of it. Like, it's Connor and McBride and Kyler if he's your best quarterback. So Marquise Brown's been a huge disappointment. I know he was injured, but I think he played this game and didn't even get a target. Maybe he was out. I don't know. Steelers bench Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph will take over.
Yeah, I've seen that too. It's like, yeah, what took you so long?
Yeah, seriously. But Mason Rudolph's not much better. So
no, he's not.
Yeah, they need to figure something out. But we'll move on here we got 3 more games. Commanders, Rams. Commanders, Jacoby Brissett comes in for 2 drives and has more passing yards than Sam Howell on 10 drives. So if Brissett's the starter, are you in on McLaurin, who had a 6 for 140 and a touchdown? And I think half those yards, or more than half, came with Brissett. You must start McLaurin if Brissett's the starter.
Yeah, I would, I would be rolling with McLaurin all along, and of course I probably wouldn't be doing too well, but he's just that type of receiver. He can have this kind of game. You got to get the ball to him,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see the point in them going to Brissett. They're out of the playoffs. They're 4-10. Like, what's the point in having Brissett for the last 3 games? Like, you should, if you were going to do this, you should have done
trying
this.
to win game.
I mean,
trying to screw up their draft position.
I guess. So,
yeah.
Other than that, like, it's McLaurin, and I just want to avoid this team again. Maybe Curtis Samuel, who had 2 touchdowns, but it's kind of McLaurin and maybe Brian Robinson if he comes back. Antonio Gibson, we are expecting a little bit more, but I was worried that he was just going to keep his role and Chris Rodriguez Jr. was going to take over, and that's kind of what happened. So, I don't know. This team's just – they're fun to throw against, that's for sure. Matthew Stafford has been awesome. You can probably just double-check in their schedule. I think they have a pretty nice schedule. Saints, Giants, the last 2 weeks of the fantasy playoffs. So I think those are two good matchups. Kyron Williams, wow, 27 carries, 150 yards and a touchdown, five catches, only 3 yards, but he's a must start. Cooper Kupp's a must start. Puka, I still think is a must start. I don't know if there's much to talk about here. It's start the Rams, guys. Are they going to make the playoffs? I think they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they should. I mean, the way they've been playing, you want teams in December to be late November and December to start hitting their stride, and the Rams look like one of those teams. Are they going to do anything in the playoffs if they make it? I don't know, but they're going to make things interesting.
Might be who the Lions have to play. Them or the Vikings, one of those 2 teams.
Oh, I'd love the Lions and the friggin' Rams to play.
Yeah. So we'll just move on there and get to the last 2 games here. Cowboys, Bills. Wow, I was surprised that the Bills shut them down like this. But are you just kind of throwing it out the window a little bit at the Cowboys? It sucks. Dak was so awesome for you, and he maybe lost you your playoff matchup. But if you survived, are you just going to roll with Dak again next week and kind of throw this one out the window a little bit? They get the Dolphins, so I think they should be able to put up some points there.
Yeah, it's they're kind of a fraud though, if you think Dallas is in the elite of the NFL, yeah, they got a 10-4 record. They get but their away record is 3-4. So they got to figure it out on how to play on the road and stuff.
Yep. They're on the road next week. So are you still firing up Dak though, no matter them being on the road?
Yeah, of course. I think so.
Same with Pollard. CeeDee Lamb saved you. I think like half his points came in garbage time drive where he had a touchdown and a couple catches, so he kind of saved his week. So I'm still starting the main Cowboys guys, the Bills guys. Josh Allen only threw the ball 15 times. He had 94 yards passing. James Cook was amazing. Where do you, just off the top of your head, James Cook, top 10 running back next year? Top 7 in terms of the draft? Does he go in like the second round that high? Because he's been awesome. And he just had an amazing game.
He might, So what's changed is they fired their offensive coordinator halfway through the year. So they got somebody in there, who's been, with a little brain saying, hey, we need to run the ball, and they got Ty Johnson, Latavius Murray, James Cook, they're and mix in a little Josh Allen in there, and all of a sudden, well, my God, they had 266 yards yesterday, So, yeah, good on you, Dallas, with your wonderful defense. So you couldn't stop the run.
And this has to be the first time that they've won a game and Josh Allen was like not really the reason why, like in a while, right? Like
yeah,
James Cook was awesome. 25 for 179. Since that coordinator change, here's the touches for James Cook: 20, 22, 15, and then this game 27. So yeah, he's been awesome. He's been good all year. He's up to RB5 in half PPR. And he's gonna continue. So maybe potential league winner there.
The other guy, Ty Johnson, he's bounced around. He was with the Lions and he was with the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, and I remember, that he always had speed and everything else. So there's guys, that I'd rather have him than Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't worry about Diggs too much. I mean, again, Josh Allen threw the ball 15 times. Diggs had 5 of those targets, so 33% of them. They're gonna have to be. Do they make the playoffs, Dad? Okay. First question is, are they a top 2 team in the AFC? Like,
top
Ravens,
2.
I think Ravens are number 1. I think it's fair to say for now.
No, I think they're one of the top 4 teams. That's those are the teams. Those top 4 to me. That's what I think are the better teams, division winners. So they're obviously not going to win the division. I think the Dolphins are going to win it, aren't they?
Well, so was my next question, and so.
Okay.
I think they're at least in the top 4, right? It's Ravens, Chiefs, Dolphins, Bills for the AFC. So they're 8-6. Dolphins are 10-4. They play the Dolphins the last game of the year. So they just need the Dolphins to lose one of the next 2 games, and then that game is for the division. Dolphins play Cowboys and Ravens the next 2 weeks. So we could be seeing so if the Bills win out and the Bills get the Chargers win and the Patriots win, so Bills are going to win the next 2. Dolphins need to lose either one of 2 to the Cowboys, Ravens, and that last
Cowboys, Ravens, Bills is what the last for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, could be for the division potentially.
We're going to see what the Dolphins are made of.
For sure. They still haven't won a game against a really good team. So I think it's funny because I do think they're a top 3-4 team in the AFC, but they need help to get in. They can't just win out and be in. Like, they need teams to lose. So they probably make it, though. I don't see the Texans, Bengals, Colts. I don't see all those teams winning out. Hopefully they make it. But we'll get to the last game here. The Ravens at the Jags. Wasn't a big explosion of a game. It was a fine game. Lamar is still going to be started. He had almost 100 yards on the ground, passing touchdown. Did you see the Keaton Mitchell still shot of his knee was basically backwards?
No, I heard. Yeah, I heard about it later. I seen him getting carted off. I kind of was flipping the channel around because the game really didn't look in question or something like that. Jacksonville's a little bit of a fraud also.
Yeah.
I think, wasn't it earlier in the year, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, the first half of the year, wasn't Travis Etienne carrying the ball quite a bit, the running game and stuff like that? So that's not happening. It doesn't seem to be happening with Jacksonville. So,
yeah, that was one thing I remember people talking about. So the first 6 weeks, 18, 12, 19, 20, 26, 18, 14, 24. And then they had their bye. And then, 9, 14. He's only had over 15 carries once since their bye in week 9. That's a little strange. They have had tough matchups. San Francisco, good against the run. Tennessee, good against the run. Houston, good against the run. Cleveland, Baltimore, good against the run. So bad matchups, but still, it's weird. I don't understand Jacksonville. Well, we'll get to him in a second. Lamar, you're still starting. Keaton Mitchell, it sucks because he was a nice dynamic player for their offense, but I guess Gus Edwards can be back in the starting conversation with Keaton Mitchell potentially out for the year. Isaiah Likely is a good tight end to start. Flowers, only 1 catch. That's a little concerning. Are you concerned about that? Like, is he not a lock for your lineup?
It's kind of, hasn't it kind of been that way part of the year? Like, like some games he looks like, I don't know. To me, it's kind of like, it's kind of like the Ravens passing game. Remember all the talk about how they didn't have receivers and all this other stuff, and all of a sudden they go get all these guys, but no one's really stood out.
No.
So, other than when Andrews was there, I mean, when he was playing, he was still doing pretty well, but none of the wide receivers, not Beckham, not Bateman, not Zay Flowers, not Nelson Aguilar. So it's just, I don't know. Is it a product? And don't tell me, the offensive coordinator and stuff, because they brought that other guy. They brought in another guy, and so they've changed that stuff. So I don't know, man. Fantasy, how does that affect you? I'd stay away from Raven wide receivers,
Yeah, and under Lamar, we just haven't seen it. I mean, Marquise Brown had a couple good years there. His best year was 2021. He had 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 90 catches. That's still, he was wide receiver 23 that year. So it's not like he was, amazing. He was good. Not like he was amazing. That might be the cap here. Flowers, wide receiver 33 on the year. It's just, they don't need any one of them to win a game, Cowboys need CeeDee Lamb. The Dolphins need Tyreek Hill. All these, these studs. The Lions need St. Brown. Like, you probably can't win without those guys producing. I mean, maybe you can, but Ravens don't need them. So it's just sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. But the Jags, I don't understand. Like, Trevor Lawrence I don't know if he's ever going to be that generational talent. Like, he just makes mistakes, and he might be good for fantasy and all that, but I just don't know if he's going to be that different. Like, I see him as like a step above, like a Derek Carr, like good quarterback, can win you games, top 15 quarterback in fantasy, can get into the top 12 or 10, have good weeks, but I don't think he's ever going to be like a major stud.
Boy, do they miss Christian Kirk or what? I don't know, man.
They must.
Something. I think Zay Jones must have. I think he got hurt last night again too. His hamstring or his knee. So it's like it's all Ridley right now, and
he's not really producing. Like, he gets a lot of targets, but he doesn't catch. So he had that end zone catch that kind of looked like it could have been a catch, but they ruled it not a catch. I guess that would have helped Lawrence's stat line a bit, and I think there's been several of those. I just don't think. Do you think Ridley comes back to this team? Because if they do sign him, they have to give a 2nd-round pick to Atlanta. So I think that's a huge.
What?
Yeah, if they keep Ridley for next year, they have to give Atlanta a 2nd-round pick. That's part of the thing. So I don't think they keep him.
Yeah, I was going to say, see you later, dude.
Yeah. Maybe he goes to the Chiefs.
Yeah. That's good room.
Yeah, we'll see. We're gonna finish up there. As always, like and subscribe. Good luck if you have any matchups in limbo tonight, which I'm sure a lot of people do. A lot of players go in tonight. And we'll catch you guys later in the week.